Welcome to Look Behind the Look, the new podcast that examines iconic looks in film, television, music, and fashion history. I'm your host, Tiffany BARTOK. Whether you're promoting a new product, special event, film premiere, or advertising your brand, Presentation Folder has you covered with their custom posters and signs to showcase your message and design in a beautiful way. Their custom posters and signs are printed full color, are great for short-run projects, and utilize the highest quality UV inks developed from their latest digital printing press. Order your custom posters or signs directly online at presentationfolder.com and save 15% on your next order when you use promo code Tiffany15 at checkout. Bring your print to life the PFI way. Hey everybody, I'm hoping you had a great Valentine's Day and that you're not having too much of a chocolate hangover. I have been snowbound and I'm diving into Norma Kamali's book. Do you have it yet? I'm planning on the ways that I can look like her at 72. I saw an interview with her that told me to mash up blueberries and walnuts and eat that. So, thinking about that as step one. Today on the show is Mario Dedivanovic, and I know you're very excited to hear from him. I have to tell you, something makes me so emotional when I'm around Mario. It's like, I know everyone feels that way, but it's like he's a matinee idol from old-timey Hollywood. It's really funny. I get shy and nervous in the whole thing. I know that he has that effect on everyone, and I talk about it in this episode actually with him, but I'm also bringing it up here. In Mario, I feel so strongly that earnest desire to be the best in his artistry. I can feel his perfectionism and the pressure that he puts on himself, but I also see the pure joy that he brings so many others through his extraordinary talents. I only found out about Mario through another makeup artist I know, Kemi, and I am forever grateful that she demanded that I learn about him because I have loved getting to know him and watching his success. I respect his work greatly, and he is a glowing light of creativity and positivity in the world of beauty. I strongly encourage you to read an amazing article in The New Yorker by Rachel Syme, and you'll learn so much about Mario there, all about his family and his origin story, so to speak. His story is absolutely beautiful. And I know a lot of you watching already know that story, so I didn't go back over it in our interview. So here, we're just exclusively taking a look behind the look at the Met Gala wet look. Don't forget that you can see all these looks that we're talking about on the YouTube channel, so head there if you want to. I'm here
So
with
crazy.
Mario, and we were talking just a little bit before, so I don't know. I'll just jump right in and tell everybody. I'll have already introduced you with your prolific bio before the listeners get here. But
Thank you.
here we are, and I can't thank you enough for taking the time to talk to me, Mario. I know how busy you are. And how is everything going with the line?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me.
Oh, of course.
Everything is going great. Despite the challenges of launching in a pandemic, we launched about 3.5 months ago now, so everything is going great. I'm just trying to keep up, and I'm trying to adjust to this new life and role, I guess you could say,
Yeah.
which has been quite challenging, but also, of course, rewarding.
Yeah, I mean, I know you, and I know that COVID affected you greatly, and I've heard you talk about, how you don't do well with the isolation and stuff. So are you?
No.
So I'm sure staying busy and launching the line helped a little bit with that, and to feel like productive and to feel active and
Yes, in that sense, yeah, it kind of forced me to, to stay busy and to create and to keep going every day and to have a purpose, because it was hard,
yes,
especially those early months of like March, April, May, June. That was like really tough, and
yeah,
that was actually when we were slated to. I remember, I think it was like in February, we had just gotten like two additional office spaces, and we were slated to start hiring all the team members. And then, of course, COVID struck, and so yeah, kind of changed everything. And then we were all just stuck at home, and delayed so many things. And so, but we got through it.
Was there ever a thought to wait? Did you
Um,
examine that?
I mean, I'm sure yeah, there were conversations. I mean, actually, we were slated to launch, I think, a month prior to when we actually did.
Okay.
So we did have to wind up pushing it about a month or a month and a week or so, and it landed on my birthday on October 1st. So that was pretty cool.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
No, I think it was a really great idea to still forge ahead because everybody was just craving that, just craving something new and beautiful, and that's
Yes.
both of your things. So I'm so proud of you. I
Thank you.
just so people know, I want to tell the story of Mario, from my point of view. Is how I came to you was through somebody when I was making the Kevin documentary. Someone
Yes.
was like, "You have to talk to Mario. You have to talk to Mario." And I said, "Really? Really? Okay. I mean, I know he's a great makeup artist, but we're not talking to makeup artists really for the movie. And, we just want it to be like all about Kevin." And they
Yeah.
were like, and she was 19 at the time. She was on our set every day. And she was like,
Oh.
"No, no, no, you don't understand. Kevin really influenced Mario." And I'm like, "Right, yeah, he influenced lots of people." And she was like, "No, you don't understand." And him talking about his influence, it would reach so many people. And I was like, "Really? Yes, because he feels it so deeply." Okay, okay. And Troy and I talked about it, and we're like, "Yes, yes, yes, let's interview Mario." And the interview that you gave us just blew our minds. There wasn't a dry eye in the set, and we
Oh my
we
God, I remember that.
yeah, it was
Yeah.
so beautiful. I can remember just hugging you afterwards and really feeling how much Kevin influenced you. And I remember you telling stories. It was in the movie for a really long time, actually, until people were like, "If it's not an hour and a half, we can't distribute this." And I was like, "Oh," and I was like cutting all of the stuff.
uh,
And it was such precious footage of you talking about how you would read his books growing up, and how you long to meet him. And I want to thank you for expressing all of that, and for really paying homage to him in the film, because they still tell me all the time, "I can't believe he paid respect to the person that he learned from," because so many artists don't do that.
yeah.
And
No, of course, it was such an honor to be even asked to be in that film. Are you kidding me? Like, who am
oh,
I? So
yeah.
yeah, that was very special.
Yes, it was. And I know you assisted Billy B. I talked to him last week. So, and he
Oh,
had such
cool.
amazing things to say about you. Do you remember any of your time with Billy B?
Of
I mean, of course
course.
you remember it. I mean,
Yeah, I remember every time. It's so funny. I actually, those are like the years. My assisting years are the probably the only times where I really legitimately remember everything.
really?
I was so focused. Oh yeah, I was so focused and so wanting to do well and wanting to learn during those years. So I remember it all. I mean, these were people I looked up to, my idols. So of course.
How did you find yourself working with them? Did you just write them?
So it happened in different ways. Like the first time I assisted was when I was 17, and
Mhm.
this photographer for Deliberation of New York is like a celebrity photographer and beauty photographer. And I first assisted my first person, Isabel Perez, through him because she was working with him in his studio. And so she took me in and kind of helped me to build my first kit, like my first legitimate kit, like took me to Alcone, helped me buy all the foundation shades and the powders. And Isabel actually came from Fran Cooper. So she was Fran Cooper's
Oh,
assistant for many
okay.
years. So, it's that aesthetic and that type of sort of celebrity makeup, the glam makeup that I loved. And so I learned so much from Isabel. I assisted her for a while. And then after that, I started going into more of the agencies around New York, trying to get more into the fashion. The fashion scene as an assistant. And I did that eventually, started working with Kabuki
Mm.
for about a couple of years. And yeah, that's kind of how it started. But with Billy in particular, I think it was actually an email. I emailed him myself. And I just remember getting
Oh.
home one night. It was like midnight when I got home, and I got an email back from him, I believe. And I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh my God. Um, and yeah, we started working together. I think the first thing we did was probably it was a French magazine. He used to do all these editorials and covers for French magazine, and with all the models. So that was like something that we did Billy. And then with Kabuki we did everything, Italian Vogue and massive beauty campaigns and fashion campaigns. It was like really big stuff I was doing with him, which was incredible to be exposed to that stuff in my early 20s.
What's one thing that you can remember as an assistant that you apply to when you have an assistant? Do you remember
Yeah,
something?
it's a little different now, I have to say. We're talking like 20 years ago, so it's quite different now. I feel like I don't expect as much from my assistants as I
Mm.
guess they expected from me
Mm.
back in the day. It's just a different world. I remember back when I was an assistant, like with Kabuki, like he never he never took his phone out. I mean, not, we would be on the 12-hour set, like 12-hour day. Not once did he look at his phone. And so I was sort of trained that way too, like that was
Uh-huh.
so inappropriate, but now it's different. Like, I do check my phone throughout the day when I'm working, and my assistants do too, because sometimes they have to answer emails on my behalf, or so things like that are different. But in terms of just the quietness, I was very quiet. I was very intuitive. I would try to be a step ahead, always be out of the way when I was an assistant. So I do expect things like that from my current assistants.
So in watching you grow, so that this is how, so then I met you and I was blown away. And then I was like, I'm president of the Mario fan club.
Oh,
I've been watching you grow, and I've just been so proud of everything that you've done, and so sincerely, I feel so full when I see your successes. And I've asked myself why, right? Why do I feel this big connection? And why do I feel so happy for you? And there's something about you that is so vulnerable, even though you're so shy, and you're really not introverted, but would you call yourself introverted? You
kind of.
not really, but
Yeah,
you're
a little
shy.
bit.
You're
Yeah,
shy, you're soft spoken. That's a better
yeah.
better word. But and you're not like you're not like a huge self promoter. I feel like the things that you promote are like the beauty of life and the beauty of, I always can remember in the early days when you would share like how much you would love people, you'd see people like enjoying a text privately or something like this, like the things about life really,
Yeah,
really, really you appreciate. And I've
yeah.
always appreciated that about you. And so to see you grow has been like seeing like, the sweetheart in high school, like reach to success. That's what it feels like,
Oh, thank you
and
so much.
how does it feel to you? Like, and you work with your family. So how does it feel to watch your family grow and really experience it? Are you taking it in? Are you able to
Yeah.
pause and take it in?
Yeah, well, I don't work with my family really anymore.
Oh, okay.
Not for the brand,
Okay.
but for the master class I did. I worked with my sister, and my
Yes,
family
yes.
used to help out. That was incredible. Unfortunately, because of COVID, I haven't been able to have a master class in pretty much a year now.
Yeah.
But I'm really eager to get back to it. But for the brand, I actually don't work with my family. It's all people from the corporate and beauty world.
Ah,
Yeah,
that's
but I do
different.
I do miss them. I do miss them, and but your question was, do I ever take it all in? Yes, there have been times though where I didn't, right? There was like some
Mm.
incredible years in my career that I was just going and going and going and going, and I had these moments where I had to be reminded sometimes to like take it all in and realize like what was happening, because when you're just going and you're thinking about the next day or the next week, you forget, like you're just like kind of this machine and you're just going and going and going. And so yeah, it's so important to stop and take it all in. I think now with my brand, especially since launch, I very often do that. Because this is such a different thing for me. It's such a new role and such a new experience that how could you not? And for the first time in my life, I think also I have like a routine, right? I'm in the office from Monday through Friday, um, and I have weekends off, which I've never had in my entire since I was 12. Yeah, I've been working on Saturday and Sunday since I was 12 years
I'm
old. So
sure. I'm sure.
and traveling. And so for the first time, it's like I have weekends off and I have a routine, and I can go to the gym like 3, 4 days a week. And so that part is really incredible. And I think that helps me a little bit to really like take everything in. And oftentimes I'll just be like looking around. I'm like, how did this happen? Like, how did this happen to me? And just feeling, grateful, of course, for everything.
I mean, I can see how it happened. You pay respect to how where you come from. You pay respect. You are sincere always, I feel, and you know what's important. And do you ever get scared? What makes you scared about feeling things so intensely like that? Do you ever get scared about it going away? I mean, I'm sure COVID brought a lot of that up because you get to be so
Yeah.
introspective and stop.
Of course you get scared, I'm human. You always get scared, but it's something I'll actually think about often. Um, And I did think about that in the past too. I always feel like I tried to plan for the future ahead of time.
Hmm.
During COVID, especially during that lockdown period,
Yeah.
I lived in fear. I mean, it was bad. I just fearing that everything was going to go away, that my whole everything, I would lose everything, that after investing everything into this brand, that I possibly like everything would just kind of, be finished, and I would
Yeah.
have to start literally all over again. So yeah, I have had those moments, but I try not to think like that, and live like that, because that's sort of, you're then manifesting that. And so I try to be very conscious of thinking positive, looking to the future, and hoping for and dreaming for positive things and good things. And so, that's kind of how I go about that.
Yeah, it's really true about the manifesting and putting it out. I know you believe in that, wholeheartedly, and I 100% do as well. I think that, it's really hard when we talk about, like, we want to be honest about where we are, right? And we want to say, like, I'm not doing well, guys. I'm not great. This fell apart, and eh, there's a fine line between getting honest with yourself and then projecting that and staying in there.
Yeah.
It's, you have to acknowledge the crumble and then sort of move past it. But how do you move past it? Do you meditate, and do you?
I just started getting into it a little bit. Like when I
Mhm.
wake up in the morning, I mean,
Mhm.
literally I do it for like 20 seconds, just because I'm
Mhm.
I'm impatient. But I try, I feel like that little 20 seconds helps.
Yeah,
But yeah,
of course.
I meditate, I meditate, and I don't know, I'm a dreamer. I'm always sort of dreaming or daydreaming or manifesting, and I like my alone time, and that's sort of when I do all of that stuff. But even here in the office, I have my different crystals, and they're right by the window. And so whenever I'm feeling down, or if I'm feeling like something is not happening the way I want it to, I'll just take a moment and grab my crystal and manifest into it.
That's beautiful. I'm the same way. I love that. Um, so for this podcast, we talk a little bit about, like, a specific look. And
Okay.
when I was talking to Fonda, I was like, "Oh yeah, tell him to pick a look that he wants to talk about." And she was like, "Okay, okay, I'll get you to look." And then I heard from you, and you were like, "Wait a minute, I can't pick a look." And I'm like, "I
Yeah.
know, there's so many." So then I, of course, went on the World Wide Web, and I was like, "What look should we talk about?" There's so many iconic looks. Obviously, you're so much more than Kim Kardashian's makeup artist. I know that's like the easy way to brand it all and like a shorthand, but there's so many beautiful looks with Kim, but also with like so many other people, and you've done so
Yeah.
much. But we picked the Met Ball, and that is one that's well documented, the wet look with
Yes.
Mugler. And it's well documented, so everybody can check out like the Vogue video that's behind the scenes and all that. And I working with Mr. Pearl must have been just like epic. Um,
Incredible.
but to create the wet look, I know you have a product breakdown of the things that you used, but I wanted to ask you about the collaboration process and like the part that you played in it, and Chris, and what who came up with the concept first, and how did you develop it together?
Yeah, I would say it started with Manfred, obviously,
Mhm.
Mugler. He came up with the initial concept, and he's very hands-on with hair and makeup. I mean, he even sketched the makeup and hair and everything. I didn't wind up doing, the makeup that he particularly sketched, because with Kim in particular, she knows what she likes. I know what she likes. But with this particular situation, it was, I actually was started planning this look probably like 2 3 months before, like started thinking about it, because right, it's this whole wet theme, but Kim likes to be matte. And so, so
Oh,
how do you translate this wet look and still giving her matte, finish that she likes?
I
And so
see.
I started to think about that, and sort of the shape of the eye, and where I'm going to place, the wet effects on the skin or on the eyes. And yeah, so I started thinking about it like 2 or 3 months beforehand. And as the days approached, I started to get more crazy and like, really trying to figure it out. I remember, in my house, for the shine or the wet on the eyes, like I just remember testing out all these different products and like little different sizes of glitters and stuff. And then I'd go outside on my terrace to mimic the daylight from, the time of the Met Gala. So I'd go out like at 3 p.m. and I'd go out at 7 p.m. like to see, how then I'd take photos and videos of the hand moving or the eyes to see like where it's going to shine the best, or when she lifts her head, it's going to grab, and so it was a lot. It was a lot of prep that goes into that. I think I remember showing her the look I was thinking of. I think it was only like a couple of days before.
Oh
And
my
she
God.
loved it. Yeah, she loved it.
When did she
you know,
find out? When do you find out that this is the gig? What is it, 5 months ahead? How far ahead is it?
what do you mean that this is the gig? Meaning like the look and
You're
everything?
going to the Met Ball, start thinking about what you want to do.
Oh, I think it was months in advance. For the Met Gala, it's months in
Yeah.
advance because the dress starts to be designed probably
The
like a year in
dress
advance.
first, right? Okay. Yes.
The dress, it's like the theme and then the dress.
Yep. Theme
And
and then
then and then you start to, to think about the hair and the makeup and all that other stuff.
yes. So you showed it to her like a couple days before?
Yeah, if I could recall correctly, yeah, it wasn't that long before, but I showed it to her, what I was thinking, and she loved it, and sort of, came out pretty similar. Of course, everything changes a little bit when you're there in person. I remember it was intense. I mean, I think we had allotted like 7 hours for Glam that day, but of course, we don't take the full 7 hours because there's so many things happening. And then I remember we left and we came back, and then at the last minute, of course, it's like a rush, like to get the final touches in. But
Oh,
on top
how
of that,
exciting.
we had the whole Vogue crew there on top of that. So there was cameras and
Uh,
microphones and like hair and makeup and PR and all this stuff going on. So it gets quite intense, but that feeling, and that pressure of such a big red carpet like that, I love that feeling.
oh
It's
yeah,
yeah, I love
absolutely.
working under pressure like that.
Then do you get to see it from, how do you watch the reveal of it? Where are you when it's revealed?
So we go we go in this big van, and we go with her, and we do our last touch-ups like right before she walks on, because glam teams are not allowed on the red carpet. And so we do the last touch-up right before she walks in, and then it's like we just start scrolling on Instagram. And then it's like
Oh.
I remember the first image that popped up, we just started screaming because you get nervous because it's like everyone is anticipating it, and everyone's like, someone like Kim who has millions of fans around the world. I mean, they are all waiting,
Oh.
and and so it just, there were certain images that were just so breathtaking, like when she had her head tilted up slightly, and then just the way the light would, like, there would be like a glow here and then going directly onto the lids and directly onto the cheek here and then on the lip. I mean, it would just look like a painting, some of them, it was so beautiful. So Chris and I just remember we're over the moon. We were like screaming.
I love that. How did you get it to stay? How it was, if it was wet?
Oh, honey, it's a lot of makeup. Yeah, layers and layers. It was still quite matte, so it was a matte, her makeup stays really good. It's like sort of thin layers that are sort of pressed on really good and then sort of set. But yeah, nothing, she's so good with makeup, nothing really moves usually on
Yeah.
her. She's very careful with her makeup.
Sure. And everybody around her, it's like a bubble. That's right. Like I would,
Yeah, yeah.
I
But
wouldn't.
it wasn't really, I didn't put too many actual wet products on, so
Oh,
I used different textures and stuff, to mimic, more of a wet glistening effect. But it was sort of like sparkles and a little bit of glitters and things like that that were sort of giving that effect when she moved.
I didn't think about that with the size of the glitters. There are so many to choose from. So you probably used the finest, right?
Well, I use several different sizes and
Ah,
actually a couple of different colors as well, just
uh,
so that they kind of, when the light hits it or when you move, it catches the light more beautifully, and sort of the different sizes sort of sparkle, with different little sparkles. You know what I mean? As opposed to using one size, then it would be sort of the same sparkle. But if you use
mhm.
different sizes, they kind of work together and dance around the lids.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
tell you, if glitter ever becomes a trend again, I'm gonna kill myself. I swear. I want it to just be on like complete icons like it is now, because if it ever comes back, do you remember it being, I mean, I'm sure it still is for you,
It,
in
it gets
in your
everywhere.
food, in your cereal, it's everywhere. Oh my
It
God.
gets everywhere. Yeah, but then didn't put that much on. It was just a tiny bit on the in the center of the lids.
Yes.
And I mixed it with, so that it wasn't like a loose glitter, so it was
Yeah, yeah,
it
yeah, yeah,
stayed, it
yeah,
all
yeah,
stayed put.
yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
God.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I remember the Tony and Tina days. It was like I had tubes of it everywhere. Um, so when something like that is when it happens, right? It's over. Do you feel like a letdown? Or are you ready on to the next thing? I mean, after everybody is receiving it and it goes over, this look went over very well, obviously.
Yeah.
Everyone loved it. I mean, do you think about what's next right away? Do you take time to
Well,
decompress? What
it,
happens to you as an
it's
artist?
no, like we don't have time. Like we didn't have time. There were so
Yeah,
many things. I mean, I think she had, right after, then she had another look from Manfred Mugler, who, did this whole other look that was Cher inspired. And then the next day we had other stuff. But like the effects of that last for months, because that was just like the first day, right? But
right.
then what happens then in the social media world and the YouTube world is then the recreations start coming in of like people,
Aha.
because
Of
these
course.
young girls and boys around the world, they
Of
get
course.
inspired, and so it's something new and they get inspired, and then that was overwhelming too, like in a good way. You know what I mean? Like I think
Yeah.
that was probably one of my most recreated ever. I mean, I just remember going onto YouTube and Instagram. It was just nonstop, day in and day out, just hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of recreations, which is such a cool feeling to see that and to know that you inspired people like that.
Oh, that's so beautiful. I love it. People draw
Yeah,
it. And then do people send you like do they draw your looks and send them to you? I always wondered that.
they do.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
Oh.
do. Actually, I have one right here.
Oh, you do?
I have so many of these, but yeah, there's people do it all the time.
Oh, that's
They
beautiful.
draw different looks of theirs, or they draw like the face, or the
Yeah.
really cute stuff like that. Yeah, they
Oh.
always post stuff on Instagram. It's really fun.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. So what's happening right now in your world, Mario? Like what is happening? So much.
What is happening?
What is next?
Adjusting. Just I'm here in the office. Like the brand really consumes my life now.
Mhm.
There's so much going on.
Do
Because
you
we start
feel like
we
grown up? Do you feel, like
I wouldn't say grown up. I feel like an old man for sure.
yeah.
This process has definitely aged me by at least 10 years, just because of the sheer amount of things I have to learn every single day that I
Sure.
just had no idea about. And I learn so much from all the team members and executives and everything like that. But so that's pretty much what I do every day. I mean, there's so much planning that goes into, like, right now we're planning 2022, and
Yeah.
catching up on the amount of assets that you need when you're in a brand. It's like, just for social media alone, you're talking like over 60 assets a month, and so those all have to be produced and executed. And so we're playing catch up with that because we couldn't do so much because of COVID. And so
Right.
it was bad. And so that's pretty much what I do all day. It's like I'm in meetings back to back. It's like product development meeting, and then we're in a marketing meeting, and then we're in a creative meeting, and then then there's the retailer end of everything, which is a big monster in and of itself. And then so that's pretty much what I'm doing all day.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
That's
like I
so
don't have.
different.
It's so
So
different
different.
because I used to travel a lot, and I used to be on set every day, and every day was a different thing. Masterclass, lots of brand deals that I did, and all these types of things. My clients, and now it's like I hadn't been on an airplane since the Oscars, I think in February. Since the Oscars, so I haven't been in an airplane in 1 year. I went from taking several hundred flights a year to zero.
Right?
That part, I have to say, I don't mind as much. I kind of like wanted a little break, to be honest with you. I was getting burnt out a little bit, just
Yeah.
physically. You know what I
Of
mean? Like the,
course.
the travel was taxing, on my body, on my mind, and
Of
so
course.
I was looking forward to traveling a little less.
Mhm.
Knowing that the brand was coming, that I was going to have a little time to sort of not travel so much, focus on the brand. And so, but I didn't expect it to be this intense, where it's like, you don't want to travel, okay, watch.
Yeah,
You're not going to travel
exactly.
at all.
Ever again.
Yeah, but no, so that's pretty much what I do every day. I am going to get back into the industry a little bit, meaning in terms of like doing my clients again here and there, probably not as full time as I was before.
Right.
because
Of
I have to
course.
be here for the brand. But I miss it. I'm a makeup artist at heart,
Yeah.
and so if I go too long or too many days without doing makeup, like it's not good for me. I need to like, when I'm doing makeup, it's the only time when I'm 100% truly focused and in the zone, and nothing
Mm.
else in the world matters to me.
So that's your meditation. So when you take that away, it's tough. It's
Yes,
very taxing on
yes.
you. Yeah.
That was
And
another reason why COVID was really tough, is
of
because of the lack of doing
course.
makeup. Yeah.
Of course. Did you find yourself drawing at all?
No, I found myself like, trying like up on my rooftop or like on the terrace, like doing gardening work and
Mm.
anything that has to do with like earth or just beautifying stuff. You know what I mean? Like trying to redo the plants and the flowers and on all that kind of stuff. Anything I could basically just to kind of keep busy. I like to like transform things and change things around. So I was doing that, as well as, of course, dealing with the brand stuff every day, but via Zoom at that time,
Mhm.
with all
Mhm.
the different sort of departments. Yeah.
What was that like to when you decided that you'd be like the face of the brand? Did that feel so crazy to you? Like, because usually, we've made a shift in the beauty industry, right? It's like, oh, it was always a model, a spokesmodel, a person. And then, it's your name and you're the face and you're, I mean, like, I'm just like getting my groceries and you're everywhere, right? I mean, did that feel good or did it
Well,
surprise you?
that wasn't my idea. I
I
actually didn't.
didn't
Yeah, I didn't want to do that. The Sephora
I understand, yeah.
was adamant about that. That I'd be sort of in the windows and I'd be on the gondola and all that stuff. And so I was like, okay,
Here
just
we
kind of
go.
yeah, going along with it all. But I know what you mean. But that was, it is. I don't know what to say about it. I mean, I'm humbled about it. The fact that they would even want me up there, that, you know what I mean, is just crazy to me. But it was fun, you know what I mean.
Great.
It is called Makeup by Mario.
Yeah.
I toyed with a lot of different names over the years, like not thinking it was going to be Mario or Makeup by Mario,
Ah,
because that was sort of like my Instagram name that I had started that almost 20 years ago. That was
yeah.
like my first website, like back when the web started. um, and so I never imagined it would be Makeup by Mario. But after meetings with like sort of creative and all that, then everyone was just like, it's got to be Makeup by Mario. And I was like, all
Oh.
right, let's do it.
Oh, I love it, I love it, I love it.
Yeah.
I it makes me so happy, and I can see the sincere smile in your face in the pictures, and I really feel like you're stepping into what you were supposed to always be, and
Oh,
I'm so happy for you, truly, truly,
thank
truly.
you. Thank you so
Yes.
much.
I wanna encourage everybody to read the New Yorker article about you. It was so
Oh,
beautiful and, to learn more about you and your whole origin story because it is a beautiful story, and
thank you.
I'm so appreciative that you took the time to talk to me today, Mario.
Oh my God, my pleasure. I'm so happy to be
Yeah.
here.
Thanks for listening, you guys. I always love talking to Mario, and I know you always love listening to him. I hope you enjoyed it too. Next week is the Golden Globes, and I don't know what that's gonna look like at all, but anything is possible, I guess. I know I'll be tuning in for sure to see what it even is. In honor of awards shows, my guest is gonna be Patty Dubroff. And we are going to be talking about Margot Robbie's looks for the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood press tour. I learned so much about this whole thing. There's so much. Talking to Patty is a gift, of course, and you're gonna hear amazing things in our interview. But I really didn't understand all the ins and outs of the press tour, and she's gonna share all about that, and you're gonna love it. So make sure that you're subscribed, and I'll see you next time. Look Behind the Look is a Vinyl Foot production, written by me, your host, Tiffany BARTOK, produced by Jace BARTOK, and produced and edited by Kelly Riley, with audio engineering by Nicole Tucker. If you're interested in learning more, find our video version on the YouTube channel Look Behind the Look podcast. There you can see rare photos and clips from our guests. And please follow us on Twitter at LookBehindPod and Instagram at Look Behind the Look. If you like the show, please rate, review, and subscribe. And tell your friends and spread the word. You can subscribe to us on iTunes or any podcatcher of your choice. Thanks for listening to Look Behind the Look.